Hi, good evening. This is Srinivas sir. You are watching Untold Botany. In this session, I am going to discuss glycolysis, part of respiration. So, glycolysis is a part of aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, and fermentation, which is the fundamental step of the respiration. Today, we are going to discuss the mechanism of glycolysis. Glycolysis is a series of 10 reactions. So what is glycolysis? Glycolysis is nothing but lysis of glucose. The term is derived from glycis lysis. Glycis transfer, glucose lysis transfer, breakdown. So here glycolysis, where it takes place? It takes place in cytoplasm. Hence, it is called cytoplasmic respiration. As it takes place in cytoplasm, glycolysis is called as cytoplasmic respiration. Glycolysis was discovered by Young and Hordon. Young and Hordon are the workers who discovered the glycolysis, and the term glycolysis was coined by Lepin. Lepin is the worker who termed the glycolysis or who coined the term glycolysis. Glycolysis itself is also called as common respiration, as it is common to both aerobic and anaerobic respirations. It is a part of aerobic respiration as well as anaerobic respiration. Hence, it is called common respiration. The intermediate reactions of the glycolysis, actually I said glycolysis is a series of 10 reactions. The intermediate reactions of the glycolysis were discovered by Embden, Meyerhof and Parnas. So in honor to them, by taking the first letters of their names, it is named as EMP pathway. E is taken from Embden, M is taken from Meyerhof, and P is taken from Parnas. So in honor to the workers, their first letters of the names are taken and named as EMP pathway. The same is called hexose diphosphate pathway, because here fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is a hexose diphosphate which is formed as intermediate of the glycolysis. As the hexose diphosphate is resulted in the pathway, this is also referred to as hexose diphosphate pathway. And the same is called fundamental respiration, because it is a basic step, first step of the any respiration, either aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration. As it is the basic step, it is referred to as fundamental respiration. And a worker known as James also coined the term core respiration for the glycolysis. James called the glycolysis as core respiration. So, glycolysis is also called as core respiration, fundamental respiration, hexose diphosphate pathway, EMP pathway, common respiration, and cytoplasmic respiration. So these are the alternate names of the glycolysis. So coming to the mechanism, what is the substrate for the glycolysis? Substrate is glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound. Eventually that is broken down to 2 moles of a 3-carbon compound known pyruvic acid. So breakdown of this 6-carbon compound glucose into 2 moles of 3-carbon compounds known pyruvic acid is called as glycolysis. As I said, glycolysis is a series of 10 reactions. So coming to the first reaction. So this is nothing but phosphorylation, where ATP is being utilized. So ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP and inorganic phosphate. The inorganic phosphate is added to the glucose, 6th carbon of the glucose, resulting in the formation of glucose 6-phosphate. So here glucose undergoes phosphorylation by using ATP, resulting in the formation of glucose 6-phosphate under influence of hexokinase enzyme. which transfers phosphate group from ATP to glucose, resulting in the formation of glucose 6-phosphate. And hexokinase enzyme requires magnesium divalent ions for its enzymatic activity. So first step of glycolysis is phosphorylation, in which one ATP is utilized and glucose undergo phosphorylation under influence of hexokinase, resulting in the formation of glucose 6-phosphate. So because of this step, glucose leakage of the glucose is locked. Actually, if free glucose is present, that can be transported out of the cell by the glucose transporters. There is no transporter to transport the glucose 6-phosphate. For glucose, for free glucose, transporters are available. They may transport out glucose. But glucose 6-phosphate can't be transported. Hence, the leakage of the glucose is locked by the phosphorylation. So that is the intention of this reaction. So coming to the second reaction, glucose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 6-phosphate. Actually, glucose and fructose, they have same atomic formula, as you know, C6H12O6. But what is the difference? They have structural differences. So glucose consists of aldehyde group, whereas the fructose consists of keto group. So here aldehyde group of the glucose is converted to keto group of the fructose, resulting in the formation of fructose 6-phosphate under influence of glucofructoisomerase. So this is isomerization reaction. What is isomerization? Rearrangement of the atoms within the same molecule without changing the molecular weight is said to be isomerization. So in second reaction, glucose 6-phosphate undergoes isomerization, resulting in the formation of fructose 6-phosphate. So coming to the third reaction, here fructose 6-phosphate utilizes one more ATP. Already we have invested one ATP for the phosphorylation of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. Coming to the third reaction, here also one more ATP is being utilized. Again ATP is hydrolyzed, resulting in the formation of inorganic phosphate and adenosine diphosphate. Inorganic phosphate is added to the first carbon of the fructose 6-phosphate. Already one is there on the 6th carbon. Now the new one is added to the first carbon. That results in the formation of fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. So this is a committed reaction. Once fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is formed, the glycolytic pathway will be continued. Hence it is called as committed step of the glycolysis. So here fructose 6-phosphate undergoes phosphorylation under influence of phosphofructokinase, resulting in the formation of fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Now this fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, it undergoes cleavage, resulting in the formation of two molecules of triose phosphates. Each is a 3-carbon compound. Here fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, 6C, 6 carbons are there. Here each triose phosphate has 3 carbons. So this cleavage takes place under influence of aldolase enzyme that results in the formation of 2 moles of triose phosphates. In turn, in between these two triose phosphates also a reversible reaction is there, which is nothing but isomerization under influence of triose phosphate isomerase. What is the necessity of this reversible reaction? What is the necessity of this isomerization? The reason is dihydroxyacetone phosphate is metabolically inactive. Whatever the reactions occurring now, they occur from glyceraldehyde phosphate itself, or phosphoglyceraldehyde or glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate itself, but not from the DHAP. So it is metabolically active, it is inactive. So DHAP can also be converted into 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. The same series of reactions that takes place from phosphoglyceraldehyde should take place from DHAP, but not directly. DHAP is converted into phosphoglyceraldehyde. Again, same series of reactions takes place. So that is why I have mentioned 2 moles of phosphoglyceraldehyde. Of these 2 moles, one is nothing but DHAP, that is converted into phosphoglyceraldehyde. Now, this phosphoglyceraldehyde, it undergoes oxidation. See here, It undergoes oxidation under influence of phosphoglyceraldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme. Under influence of this enzyme, hydrogen molecule is removed and the same is added to NAD plus, reduced to NADH plus H plus. So here one NADH2 is formed. So this is oxidation reaction. In association with oxidation, in addition to the oxidation, even phosphorylation also takes place here. Because here phosphoglyceraldehyde, only one phosphate is there on the third carbon, but here in the product, two phosphates are there. This oxidation results in the formation of 1,3 bis-phosphoglyceric acid. Actually here only on the third carbon phosphate is there, but in this product even on the first carbon also phosphate is there. So this new phosphate is added now itself in this reaction, but the source of phosphate is not ATP like above reactions. Here the source of phosphate is cytoplasm. From the cytoplasm, a phosphate is added to the phosphoglyceraldehyde that results in the formation of 1,3 bis-phosphoglyceric acid. So here oxidation takes place, even phosphorylation takes place. So we can consider this oxidative phosphorylation reaction. Now, two molecules of 1,3 bis-phosphoglyceric acid is resulted now. Now this bis-phosphoglyceric acid undergoes dephosphorylation. In above reactions, phosphorylations. Here dephosphorylation. In this, the phosphate which is removed from the 1,3 bis-phosphoglyceric acid is added to the ADP, resulting in the formation of ATP under influence of phosphoglycerokinase. Actually, the phosphate which is present on the first carbon is removed and added to the ADP, resulting in the formation of ATP. Hence, this dephosphorylation results in the formation of 3-phosphoglyceric acid. In earlier 1,3 bis-phosphoglyceric acid, two phosphates are there. One is on first carbon, one is on third carbon. But here only on the third carbon phosphate is there. What does it mean? The phosphate of the first carbon is removed. The removed phosphate is added to the ADP, resulting in the formation of ATP. So this is the dephosphorylation reactions where we get ATP. Here we have invested ATPs, but here we are harvesting ATPs. So this type of ATP formation is said to be SLP, substrate level phosphorylation. One another is there, oxidative level phosphorylation. So there NADH2 and FeRDH2 that are produced during the different phases of the respiration, they enter into the ETS and there they undergo oxidation, resulting in the formation of ATPs in the presence of oxygen, that is called oxidative level phosphorylation. But whereas in this case, directly at the level of substrate itself, ATPs are being formed, hence it is called SLP, substrate level phosphorylation. Through substrate level phosphorylation, here ATP formed. So here two ATPs we get because we have got two triose phosphates. From each triose phosphate, one ATP molecule. From two triose phosphates, two ATP molecules. Now, this dephosphorylation results in the formation of 3-phosphoglyceric acid. This 3-phosphoglyceric acid is converted to 2-phosphoglyceric acid. Can you predict what happens here? Here, inorganic phosphate is shifted from third carbon to second carbon. So this is nothing but intramolecular shift. Within the molecule, a group is transferred from one atom to another atom. Here, from the third carbon to second carbon, phosphate is transferred. Hence, it is called intramolecular shift. So, phosphoglyceric acid undergoes intramolecular shift, resulting in the formation of 2-phosphoglyceric acid. 3-phosphoglyceric acid undergo intramolecular shift, resulting in the formation of 2-phosphoglyceric acid under influence of phosphoglyceromutase. Now, this 2-phosphoglyceric acid, it undergoes dehydration. A water molecule is removed under influence of enolase. So, enolase is a type of lyase. Here, It undergoes dehydration that results in the formation of 2-phosphoenol pyruvic acid. Yes. Now the phosphoenol pyruvic acid undergoes again dephosphorylation. Here one dephosphorylation, again here. This dephosphorylation results in the formation of pyruvic acid, which is end product of the glycolysis. The phosphate which is removed from the 2-phosphoenol pyruvic acid is added to the adenosine diphosphate, resulting in the formation of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. So again here one more SLP. So at two places SLP takes place, substrate level phosphorylation. One is it in between the 1,3 bis-phosphoglyceric acid to 3-phosphoglyceric acid, and other is in between the 2-phosphoenol pyruvic acid to pyruvic acid. So here if you go through the series of these 10 reactions, the first reaction is nothing but phosphorylation, where glucose undergoes phosphorylation resulting in the formation of glucose 6-phosphate. And second reaction is nothing but isomerization, where glucose 6-phosphate is isomerized to fructose 6-phosphate. Coming to the third reaction, fructose 6-phosphate undergoes phosphorylation. Again third is phosphorylation that results in the formation of fructose 1,6 bis-phosphate. And fourth reaction, fructose 1,6 bis-phosphate undergoes cleavage resulting in the formation of 2 triose phosphates. Coming to the fifth reaction, in between these 2 triose phosphates, there is a reversible reaction which is isomerization under influence of triose phosphate isomerase. Here, in the first 5 reactions, together constitute preparatory phase, or this is also called priming phase, or this is also called investment phase, because here we are investing ATPs. Hence it is called preparatory phase or priming phase or investment phase. Whereas these 5 reactions together constitute harvesting phase, because here we are harvesting ATPs. ATP yielding occur here. Here we invested, here ATP yielding occur. Here 2 ATPs, here 2 ATPs. Together 4 ATPs are formed. Hence it is called harvesting phase. Here 2 ATPs consumed for the priming of the glucose molecule. Hence that is called preparatory or priming phase or investment phase. And here if you see the reactions here, of 10 reactions, 3 reactions are irreversible. 7 reactions are reversible. And here finally, if you see the energy sheet of the glycolysis. So here we got 2 NADH2. We can write them as 2 NADH plus H plus. Here resulted in the oxidation reaction. Phosphoglyceraldehyde undergo dehydrogenation under influence of dehydrogenase, resulting in the formation of 1,3 bis-phosphoglyceric acid. At that step, 2 NADH plus H plus are formed because we have got 2 triose phosphates. From each triose phosphate, 1 NADH plus H plus. So in total, we get 2 NADH plus H plus. And here 2 ATPs are formed, here 2 ATPs are formed. Totally 4 ATPs are formed. So the total number of ATPs that are formed in glycolysis is 4. Here 2, here 2. And what is the net gain of ATPs? How can you obtain the net gain? Here 2 ATPs are consumed in the priming stage or preparatory phase. So 4 ATPs minus the 2 invested ATPs. So net gain again 2 ATPs. So the net gain of ATPs in glycolysis 2 ATPs. So how many ATPs are formed through substrate level phosphorylation in glycolysis? 4 ATPs. How many ATPs are consumed in glycolysis? 2 ATPs. What is the net gain of ATPs in glycolysis? 2 ATPs. However, 2 NADH plus H plus also formed. If it is aerobic respiration, these two NADH plus H plus will enter into the electron transport system, and there they undergo oxidation under influence of or in the presence of oxygen, and they form ATPs through the oxidative level phosphorylation. Here coming to the irreversible reactions. So which reactions are irreversible? So glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, this is irreversible. Again, fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, it is also irreversible. And again here, this 2-phosphoenol pyruvic acid to pyruvic acid, these two are irreversible, whereas the remaining 7, these 3 are reversible, the remaining 7 are reversible. So the ratio of the irreversible and reversible reactions of glycolysis is 3:7.